Welcome back to The Secret's Revenge. My name is Teresa Davis. When I was 18, my mother tore my MIT acceptance letter in half. I taped it back together at 4 a.m. and left at 5. I didn't come back for 7 years. What I brought back with me at my grandmother's 80th birthday party in front of 30 people is the reason my mother still can't talk about that night. This channel is for women who grew up holding everyone together. Women who learned to walk out without slamming a door. Women who know that sometimes the loudest answer is just leaving the room. I grew up in a brick row house on Mahanango Street in Pottsville, Pennsylvania. 2 bedrooms upstairs. Kitchen at the back. My grandmother in the front room watching television with the volume turned all the way down. The tradition in our house had a shape. It looked like my grandmother's wooden recipe box on the kitchen counter. Oh, the word Davis carved across the lid. The box held 3 generations of index cards. Lasagna, pierogies, kielbasa, applesauce cake. It also held the rule. The eldest daughter stays. The eldest daughter cooks. The eldest daughter marries someone within driving distance. My grandmother had done it. My mother had done it. My Aunt Carol had done it. I was next. I never said no out loud. That was not how we operated. I said no the way the women in my family said no. Quietly. In private. In a place no one would look for me. That place was the school library, 2nd floor, west window, the table behind the encyclopedias. I took the SAT in October. The ACT in November. I lied about where I was on Saturday mornings. My mother thought I was working shifts at the Patel family bakery for $10 cash. I was actually on a bus to Philadelphia 3 Saturdays out of 4 taking tests. I scored 1560 on the SAT. 35 on the ACT. I told no one. The big envelope arrived on a Thursday in March. MIT in red letters across the upper left. Thick envelope. I tucked it under my coat and went straight upstairs and locked the bathroom door behind me. The letter was 3 pages. Congratulations. Full need-based scholarship. Housing and meal plan included. I read the first sentence 11 times. I cried without sound. The plan had been to apply on principle in secret. Then to decline if a yes ever came. Then to keep that decline tucked into the same place where I kept the test scores. The plan had not anticipated full need. I folded the letter in thirds. I put it under the bath mat. 36 hours later, my mother opened the mail. It was Friday at 5:12 p.m. She was folding laundry. She set the letter on the table without looking up. Bathroom trash isn't private, Teresa. I started to explain. Full scholarship. No debt. 4 years of room and board. My mother picked up the letter. She tore it down the middle slowly. Then she turned the halves and tore them again. This is not who we are. The whole tearing took maybe 7 seconds. She did not yell. She did not raise her voice. That was the part one had not prepared for. By 7:30 that evening, my Aunt Carol was at our kitchen table. My mother had called her 6 minutes after the tearing. My grandmother wheeled her armchair into the dining room. My father retreated to the garage with a sandwich. The 4 pieces of the letter were on the table. They were the centerpiece. My grandmother spoke first. The eldest daughter stays. Always has. That's how it works. I said MIT offered me a full ride. My grandmother adjusted her glasses. Then they wasted a letter. I said it again slower. 2 years tuition free. Room and board included. Engineering. Career I could build. No one asked me what I wanted. No one asked me what my SAT score was. They had already decided. They had decided the night I was born. I stopped arguing at 8:15. I went upstairs at 10 o'clock. I did not sleep. At midnight, my mother went to bed. At 12:30, my father came inside from the garage. At 1:15, the house was quiet. I went down at 1:40. The 4 pieces of the letter were still on the dining table. My mother had not thrown them out. She had left them as a lesson. I gathered them. I took them to the bathroom upstairs. I locked the door. Scotch tape. Mom kept a roll in the medicine cabinet for the labels on her prescription bottles. I pulled the strip slow. I taped each tear like a stitching. My mother had taught me to mend things. She just had not said which things. The scholarship sentence ran across 2 tape lines. I could still read it. I folded the letter into thirds. I put it in the inside chest pocket of my denim jacket, the one that closed. I went back to my room. I opened the bottom drawer of my dresser. $340 in cash saved from babysitting. A printed Greyhound schedule I had folded into eighths in October. Boston route. 5:22 a.m. departure from Pottsville. I wrote a note for Maddie, my sister. Half a page. I told her I loved her. I told her I would write. I told her not to be afraid. I slipped it under her pillow at 3:40 while she slept. I went down the stairs in socks. The light in the garage was on. I had expected it to be off. My father was standing at his workbench. Sleeves rolled. Hands greasy. He was not fixing the carburetor in front of him. He was pretending to. He had been waiting. I stood in the doorway with my coat on and my duffel bag at my feet. He turned. He nodded once. Your mother loves you, Teresa. I know. He went into his back pocket and took out his wallet. He counted out 4 $20 bills. He held them out. I took them.
$80.
For the bus, he said. I put the bills inside my jacket with the letter. He did not ask where I was going. He did not need me to tell him. I did not say thank you. I did not say goodbye. He turned back to the carburetor. I picked up my duffel. I walked out the side door into the alley. It was 4:11 a.m. The temperature was 31 degrees. The taped letter sat against my collarbone, folded into thirds. $80 on top of it. The Greyhound station in Pottsville was a glass cinder block waiting room attached to a Sunoco pump, 1 mile and 4/10 from my house. I walked it in 24 minutes. I bought my ticket at the window from a man named Earl. Boston Greyhound. $89. I paid with 3s, 110s, 15 for ones. I had $251 left. I boarded at 5:14. I took a window seat behind the driver. The bus pulled out at 5:22 on the dot. I watched our street slide past. 3 blocks east of the station. Our house. The kitchen light on. The upstairs dark. My mother's silhouette behind the kitchen window with a coffee cup. She was watching the bus go. I'm almost sure of it. I did not wave. She did not see me. Maddie's bedroom light came on at 5:30. She had found the note. The light stayed on for 2 minutes and 12 seconds. Then it went out. I do not know what she did between minute 1 and minute 2. I have wondered for 7 years. I took the taped letter out of my jacket. I read the scholarship sentence one more time. I folded it. I put it back. I fell asleep against the window. South Station at 6:54 p.m. smelled like diesel and pretzel salt. I walked from South Station to MIT Student Services with my duffel on my back. 5 miles. Paper directions printed at the Pottsville Library. I arrived at the Office of First Generation Student Programs at 9:30 p.m. on a Friday in March. The office was closed. I sat on the floor outside the door. I opened my SAT prep book and pretended to study so the security guard would not move me along. He moved me along at 10:15. I slept in a study lounge in the student center on a vinyl couch. On Monday morning at 8, a woman named Dr. Marina Ortiz opened her office door, saw me sitting on the bench outside it and said, "You're early." I said, "I came early." She said, "How early?" I said, 3 days. Dr. Ortiz took one look at me and walked me down the hall to the cafeteria where she had a faculty meal pass. She bought me eggs and toast and orange juice. She watched me eat. Then she said, "Tell me what you have." I had the taped letter. I had $316 left. I had a duffel bag with a broken strap. I had no parent affidavit signed. I had no proof of income because my parents would not provide it. Dr. Ortiz looked at the taped letter for a long time. She turned it over. She turned it back. She said, "Keep that. Frame it cheap, but keep it where you can see it." That was my first week at MIT. I took 18 credit hours each semester plus summer session. I worked 20 hours a week in the materials science lab and another 12 at the dining hall. My grade point average at the end of freshman year was 3.76. By sophomore year, 3.89. I emailed my mother twice. The first email was my new address. The second ended with, "I miss you." Neither got a reply. I stopped emailing. October of sophomore year, 11 p.m. I checked my MIT email before bed. There was a message from Madison_1994 at Yahoo. The subject line said, "Mom." The body was 3 sentences. She told the church, "You're dead." The priest asked at coffee hour. Aunt Carol confirmed. My mother had buried me. Not metaphorically. She had told the parishioners of St. John the Baptist that I had passed. My Aunt Carol had been the corroborating witness. The dead daughter narrative was easier than the live daughter who had refused to stay. My mother had chosen the lie. So had my aunt. I did not reply to Maddie. I did not know what to say. I closed the laptop. I went to bed at 11:40. I did not sleep until 2:20. The second call from my father came 2 years and 4 months later. Tuesday in March of junior year. 4:11 p.m. I was walking past a payphone on my way to a problem set group when the desk attendant flagged me. "There's a man on the line, says he's your father." I had not heard his voice in 2 years and 4 months. Picked up. "Teresa. Dad. Grandma had a stroke. Mild, she's home. She's asking for you," I said. "When did it happen?" 3 weeks ago. I let the silence sit. "He sat in it too," I said. "Tell her I'm in finals." "I'm sorry." I hung up. Finals were not for another 6 weeks. He knew it. I knew it. The lie was a gift to both of us. That night I made the math. Grandma had a stroke. Grandma was home. Grandma did not want me there. My father had been told to call. My father had called. I noted with some surprise that I did not feel guilty. Senior year, December. I moved into a studio apartment over a sandwich shop on Massachusetts Avenue. My rent was $840 a month. My stipend covered $700 of it. The lab covered the rest in exchange for 15 hours of weekly research. I had a bookshelf, a futon, a desk under the window, a kettle, a roommate named Maya from Lagos, Nigeria. She had left her family at 19 for similar reasons. We did not talk about it. The frame was $14 at CVS. Black plastic. 8 by 10. I had carried the tape letter folded inside the cover of my sophomore year organic chemistry textbook for 2.5 years. The folds were soft. The tape was browning. I unfolded the letter on the kitchen counter the night I bought the frame. I smoothed the creases as flat as I could with the back of a spoon. I slid the letter behind the glass and tightened the 4 metal tabs. I hung it on a nail above my desk. Maya came home at midnight. She made a cup of tea. She walked over and looked at the frame for 30 seconds. "Why is it taped?" My mom tried to throw it away once. Maya nodded. She went to her room. I crossed the stage at Killian Court on a Friday in May. The ceremony began at 10 a.m. I had sent 4 invitations to Pottsville 3 months earlier. Mother, father, grandmother, aunt. Mother's came back stamped return to sender. The envelope had been opened. Read. Resealed with different tape than the one she used to repair my homework. She had taken the time to send it back. Father's was opened. No reply. I learned later from Maddie that he had read it on the porch and put it in his pocket. Grandmother's was used as a coaster for her morning coffee. The water ring was on the cardboard backing. Aunt Carol's was thrown out unopened. I had reserved 4 seats in the family section. 3 were empty when the ceremony started. Dr. Ortiz came. She sat in the first seat. She wore a navy blazer and she clapped for me when I crossed the stage. The only person who clapped for any single graduate by name. My faculty advisor sat in the second seat. Maya sat in the third. The fourth seat stayed empty. The package came on a Tuesday in July, 2 months after graduation. Brown cardboard box. The shipping label was handwritten in pencil. The postmark was Pottsville. The return address line was blank. I opened it at my kitchen counter at 6:15 p.m. with a steak knife. Inside was my grandmother's wooden recipe box. Oh, Davis carved across the lid. I lifted the lid. The index cards were still there. 53 cards in my grandmother's handwriting. 4 in my mother's. Under the cards, lying flat against the bottom, was a yellowed manila envelope. Inside the manila envelope, 3 items. The first was a high school transcript from Pottsville Area High School, class of 1991. Linda Marie Walsh. My mother. Grade point average 3.94. National Honor Society. Senior class secretary. Top 5%. The second was an acceptance letter from Lehigh Carbon Community College, Registered Nurse Program, Fall Semester 1991. Partial scholarship.
$1,200 per semester.
Total cost after scholarship, $1,780 per semester. The third was the same acceptance letter in 2 pieces, taped back together with brittle yellowed masking tape. My mother had taped her own scholarship letter back together in 1991, and then she had kept it for 33 years. I sat with the 3 pieces of paper on my kitchen counter for 2 hours. I did not cry. I did not remember thinking. Maya came in around 8. She looked at the papers. She did not ask. She made tea for both of us. I worked the math out. My mother had been 18 in 1991. She had had the same grade point average I had. She had been senior class secretary. She had applied to community college on her own. Someone had torn her letter. My grandmother almost certainly. My mother had taped it back together with masking tape, which was what was available in 1991 in the Davis kitchen. She had hidden it at the bottom of the wooden recipe box. She had stayed. She had married my father in October of 1992. She had had me in May of 2002. She had spent 25 years cooking from the cards above the letter. Then she had torn mine. I understood the math. I did not forgive it. The understanding and the forgiveness are not the same thing. The understanding said she is also someone's eldest daughter. The not forgiving said she had the tape in her hand and she chose to repeat it. At the bottom of the manila envelope was a photograph. 4x6. Color faded a little. My mother at 18 standing on the porch of a building in Schneckville, Pennsylvania, wearing nursing scrubs that did not yet belong to her. She was smiling. I had never seen her smile that way. I have looked at every photograph in our family albums. She is in maybe 40 of them. In none of those 40 does she smile the way she is smiling in the Lehigh Carbon photograph. The lab spun out a company in my second year of doctoral work. It was called SunScore. We made mass spectrometry sensors for hospital clinical labs. Faster detection of bloodstream infections than the standard culture method. 16 hours instead of 24 to 72. Patent filed January. University spin-out paperwork signed March. 5 graduate students named on the patent, including me. My founder equity grant was 2.4% of the company. The cliff vested on a Tuesday in March of my year 6 at MIT. SunScore closed series of funding 11 months later at a pre-money valuation of $31 million. My vested shares on paper were worth $750,000 and change. I told nobody in Pottsville. The night of the cliff, I emailed Maddie at her old Yahoo. Maddie replied at 4 a.m. the same day. She must have had email notifications on her phone. The reply was, "Haley just turned 5. She's smart. Like you smart." I had not known how old Maddie's older child was. I had not known her name. I learned both in one sentence. I went to bed at 2:30. Maddie sent a follow-up 2 days later. A picture of a 5-year-old in pink corduroy with a magnetic tile castle. I saved it to a folder on my desktop labeled M. I added pictures to that folder over the next 8 months when she sent them. 16 pictures by the end of the year. I did not reply to most of them. The second call from my father came 2 years and 3 months after the first one. October. I was in the lab at 6:20 p.m. running a calibration. My phone vibrated. Unknown number. Pennsylvania area code. Teresa. Dad. Grandma's 80th is in 6 weeks. They want you there. Your mother. I sat on the lab stool. Your mother has been telling everyone you didn't get into MIT. That you flunked out. That's the story now. Up at the church. Up at Carol's. Why are you calling, Dad? Because they're starting on Haley. I closed the laptop. What do you mean starting? The talk's about staying. Carol started it at Easter. Linda's nodding. Maddie isn't saying no. They're laying it out for her so she'll think it was her idea by the time she's 12. She's 5. She's 5. I picked up a pen. I wrote on the back of my hand. 6 weeks. Haley birthday. I hung up. I walked out of the lab. I did not finish the calibration. I did not sleep that night. I sat at my kitchen table with a yellow legal pad and I made a list. Item 1, what I wanted to say. Answer, nothing. Actions only. Item 2, what I wanted to leave behind. Answer, the taped letter. The 1991 photograph. A document. Item 3. Who the audience was. Answer: Haley. Only Haley. Everyone else was witness scaffolding. Item 4. When? Answer: my grandmother's 80th birthday. Saturday in November. 6 weeks out. 30 witnesses including church friends. Public enough that the conversation could not be later denied. Item 5. What I would not do. Answer: argue. Raise my voice. Justify. Apologize for being late. Item 6. Funding. Answer: a trust. Money to be set aside in a registered account before the trip so the document I would lay on the table would be real, not promised. I made one final note at the bottom. This is not revenge. This is a controlled demonstration. I called the lawyer Maya's brother had used for a stock purchase agreement. Her name was Sarah Klein. I told her what I wanted. A trust funded by liquidated equity. $250,000. Beneficiaries: any female or male descendant of Margaret Davis, age 17 or older, accepted into any accredited college, university, or trade school in the United States or Canada. Haley would be the first eligible at age 17. Her brother Cody would be eligible too. She drafted the document over the next 8 days. The trust signed and notarized 11 days after our first meeting. $250,000 notarized in 11 days. The Friday before the party I packed. The briefcase was brown leather from a graduation gift. 12 inches by 15. 2 compartments. A flap. A single brass buckle. Inside in order from bottom to top. The trust document in its cream-colored envelope. My PhD candidate status letter from the MIT Department of Mechanical Engineering. Signed by Dr. Reddy. My Bachelor of Science diploma in its folio. The photograph of my mother at 18, the Lehigh Carbon Community College brochure, slipped between the pages of the diploma folio. On top, the taped MIT letter. I dressed for the trip on Saturday morning at 5 a.m. Dark navy slacks. White button-down. Plain collar. No embellishment. Black flats. Hair down. No makeup. No jewelry. The only item with shine on my person was the brass buckle of the briefcase. I dressed like the engineer I was. No costume. No statement. The briefcase did the talking. I drove from Philadelphia to Pottsville on a Saturday morning in November. Pottsville looked the way it has always looked. Brick row houses. Dollar General. 2 empty storefronts where there had once been a bakery and a hardware store. I drove past my old high school. The marquee read, "Go Tide." I drove past the Greyhound station. The cinder block waiting room was still there. I turned onto Mahanango Street at 10:14 a.m. I parked the rental across from the Davis house. I sat in the car and counted to 100. I walked up the 4 porch steps at 10:42 a.m. I knocked twice with the back of my middle knuckle. My mother opened the door at 3/4 width. She was wearing an apron. Her hair was almost half gray. She looked the same and not the same. She said, "You're early by 18 minutes. She did not say come in. She did not say Teresa. She did not say hello. The party starts at noon. Stay in the car. She closed the door. I walked back to the rental. I sat in the driver's seat. I waited. Cars started arriving at 11:15. Aunt Carol and her husband in a cream-colored Buick LeSabre. Maddie in a green Subaru Outback with her son Cody, 2 years old. Tim, her husband, lifted Haley out the other side. Haley was wearing a pink dress and white tights and a small navy cardigan. She held a plastic bay horse in her left hand. Her hair was the same blonde mine had been at 5. At 11:53, Maddie crossed the street. She came right up to the driver's window. She said, "I sent you the box." "I know. Took me 5 years to find it." "Are you going to make a scene?" "No. I'm going to make an option." She looked at me for 2 seconds. Then she nodded once. She walked back across the street. I walked in at 12:08 p.m. The living room had 30 people in it. Folding chairs along the wall. Plastic tablecloths. A cake on the dining table white with yellow piping that read, "Happy 80th." The recipe box was still on the counter. Davis carved across the lid. Conversation in the room paused when the door opened. Then it stopped. My mother from the kitchen archway said one word. She came. My grandmother in the green corduroy armchair looked up over reading glasses. She said, "Teresa, you look thin."
Grandma.
Aunt Carol said. Took you long enough. I'm sorry I miss Christmases. My father crossed the room from the kitchen. He hugged me. 2 seconds. He let go. He said nothing. He went back to the kitchen. I stood in the entryway with the briefcase in my right hand. Haley was on the carpet in front of the television 10 feet from me playing with the plastic bay horse. The room remembered how to talk in about 15 seconds. At 12:31, my mother picked up a butter knife and tapped it against the rim of a water glass. The room went down to a hush. My grandmother stood up. The cane took her weight on her left. Thank you all for coming, she said. 80 years. I want to say something about our family. She looked down at Haley. Davis women stay close. We don't chase. We don't drift. We don't get above ourselves. My Linda stayed. My Carol stayed. My Maddie stayed. She paused. She looked at Haley again. And one day soon my Haley will stay too. She lifted her water glass to staying. 28 glasses went up. 28 voices to staying. My glass stayed on the side table by my elbow. I did not touch it. Maddie did not raise hers either. She held it at chest height. She did not say the words. She set it back down. My mother was looking at me. I shifted the briefcase from beside my left foot to the floor directly in front of me. Conversation came back. My grandmother sat down hard. My mother crossed the room toward my chair. She kept her voice low. Don't. Whatever you're thinking, don't. I'm not thinking. I already decided. You will not embarrass this family today. I'm not going to embarrass anyone. I'm going to talk to Haley. My mother's left hand went to her hip. She's 5, Teresa. You don't get to walk in here after 7 years. I said, I'm not asking you for anything. I'm not going to fight with you. I'm going to put something in front of Haley and I'm going to leave. You can do whatever you want after I am gone. My mother said, This is my house. I said, It's Grandma's house. She did not answer that. She turned on her heel. She went back into the kitchen. I picked up the briefcase. I stood. I walked across the carpet toward Haley. I knelt on one knee. The room got quiet again. I said, Hi, Haley. I'm your Aunt Teresa. Haley said, Okay. I opened the briefcase on the carpet. I took out the taped MIT letter. I unfolded it. I laid it on the carpet between us. This is from when I was 18. Grandma might tell you about it someday. If she doesn't, your mom will. Haley looked at the letter. She did not pick it up. If you ever want to go to school anywhere, high school, college, trade school, anywhere, this is a letter that says, Someone said yes to me. Someone will say yes to you too. You don't have to take the same letter. You'll get your own. From the kitchen doorway, my mother said, Teresa, stop. I kept my eyes on Haley. I reached into the briefcase. I took out the cream-colored envelope. I stood up. I walked 4 steps to the coffee table. I laid the envelope on the coffee table. This is $250,000. It's in a trust. It's for any girl in this family who wants school. Any boy too. Cody too. I looked at Maddie. Cody too. Aunt Carol stood up from her chair. You can't do this here. I did it 3 weeks ago. I'm just telling you now. My grandmother rose from the green armchair. Her face was red. Teresa Marie Davis, the eldest daughter, stays. I stood up from the carpet. I looked at my mother in the kitchen archway. My mother said, This is not who we are. I said it the way she had said it. Same volume. Same tempo. No teatrix. Then I'm not who we are. The room went silent. Haley on the carpet picked up the taped letter. She held it up at her shoulder. She held it up to her mother. Maddie kneeled beside her daughter. She took the letter from Haley's hand. She held it. She did not hand it back to me. I took the photograph from the briefcase. I walked to the dining table. I laid the photograph face up next to the cake. Linda at 18 in nursing scrubs. The smile. I said nothing. My mother stepped into the dining room. She looked at the photograph. For seconds. She picked it up. She turned it over. She turned it back. She set it down. She said, Where did you? I did not answer. She said, Where? I waited. She turned. Frank, where did she? Frank. My father in the kitchen archway did not move. He set his coffee cup on the counter behind him. He did not look at her. My mother turned back to me. You went through my things. You stole. You stole my. Maddie found the recipe box. I read what was in it. Maddie, still on the carpet next to Haley, did not stand up. She did not deny it. She did not confirm it. She held the taped letter against her chest. My mother said, "You don't get to." Her voice was loud now, the kind of loud my mother almost never reached. My grandmother sat back down hard. I picked up the briefcase. The briefcase was lighter now. I walked to the door. I put my hand on the knob. I turned to my mother. I said one thing. "I tape mine too, Mom." Same brand of tape. I opened the door. I walked out. From the porch, I could hear my mother's voice rising. I walked to the rental. I did not look back. I sat in the rental Honda. I put the key in the ignition. I did not turn it. A knock on the window. Maddie. She was holding the taped letter and the cream-colored envelope. She had her coat on. Her breath in the air. I rolled the window down. She said, "Haley wants to keep this. She can. The trust. Is it real? Notarized. Sarah Klein, Boston. Tim's going to be hard about it. Tim doesn't have to sign anything. Haley is the beneficiary. You're the custodial parent." She breathed out white air. "What about Cody? Cody's on page 3. She nodded. She held the letter and the envelope against her chest. "Are you coming back?" "I don't know yet." "Okay." She did not say anything else. She walked back across the street. She went inside. The door closed. I turned the key. The engine started. The third call from my father came 3 months after the party. A Wednesday in February, 6:40 p.m. I was at my kitchen counter in Cambridge cutting onions. The phone vibrated. Pennsylvania area code. "Teresa." "Dad." Haley just started a Saturday science program at Lehigh Carbon Community College. STEM camp for elementary kids. Maddie used the trust to register her. I stopped cutting. It's 6 Saturdays, 5 hours each. Maddie's driving her. Tim said it was Maddie's money to spend. Maddie said it was Haley's. "Thank you for telling me. Your mother won't speak to me about it. She knows. She just won't say it." He waited. I did not say anything else. He hung up. Haley started at Lehigh Carbon Community College, the same school that had sent my mother her letter in 1991. Haley was starting at 5. The envelope from Pottsville arrived 3 weeks after my father's call. Pink paper. Address in Maddie's handwriting on the front. Return address in Haley's kindergarten handwriting. All caps. Bakwertsi. Inside 2 pieces of paper. The first was a letter from Haley. Crayon. Pink and red. 6 lines. "Dear Aunt Teresa, Mom said you went to MIT. I am drawing a building. The building has my name on it. I am 5. Love, Haley." The second was a drawing. A red brick building. 3 stories, 6 windows. Across the top in red crayon, Haley. Folded inside the drawing was the original taped MIT letter. On the inside of the letter, on the back of the bottom third, Haley had stuck a yellow post-it with one sentence in adult handwriting that I knew was Maddie's, dictated by Haley. "I'm done with this one. I'll write my own." I put the drawing on the refrigerator. I put the letter back in the frame. I hung the frame above my desk. The tape was still browning. The browning had reached the scholarship sentence. The sentence was still legible. I learned something at my grandmother's 80th that I should have learned at my mother's tearing. The people who tell you who you are will tell you for as long as you let them. The only way to answer is to be someone else. Quietly. Without arguing. Until they have to look at you and decide whether to look away or look up. My mother is still deciding. That's my story. 1 torn letter. 1 roll of Scotch tape. And a 5-year-old in a brick building she hasn't built yet. If you know a woman who taped something back together, share this with her. Thank you for watching The Secret's Revenge.